And we are back. With the Cothagian Federation. We will stick to the plan. The plan of Zebrica was the comprehensive land reform plan that first spurred the Liberation Army of the East to arms, and it was rejected by the Cothagian government. The plan outlines a gradual series of redistribution and government support for the rural poor, and it now needs to be adapted to the whole Carthage. A friendly game of chess. Monzano smiled at Ozid, put out the chess pieces on the table. Once a week, she and him met to play chess, and just disconnect from all the worries that plagued them. Drawing lots, they determined she would start, and she made a move. Pretending to be fully absorbed in the game as Ozid began to talk, his mind tended to wander at times like this. When his guard was down, a lot of things could slip out, and he always had thought that it was in confidence. Okay, bug, die, thank you, get out of here, get off my screen. Okay, and I don't know what to think of it all, really, Ozid admitted. She has made it clear that she isn't going to make a move there. It's a shame, in a way, they would have cut a dashing couple. I just hope the poor colt won't be too heartbroken by it. You should have annoyed the ever-living Zella out of her, his soft-spoken ways, his casual, jovial appearance, and more than anything, how he always had been one step ahead of her. Despite how hard she had worked, this bumbling horse-apple had role-played his royal polyed his way into not only the position of Koltva's finest general, but just Zeirutid's closest confidant as well. And yet she had never found it in herself to really hate him. Maybe it was just working alongside Zerishat for so long, but she'd never been able to muster up that kind of absolute spite towards Ozid. Alas, as the match continued, she realized she'd forgotten to keep tabs on the rook. Ozid moved forwards, capturing her queen, and putting her in checkmate. She almost cursed, but stopped herself, taking a deep breath and leaning back. I think you get too single-minded. You had a good thing going with the towers, but you focused too much on it. Ozid gestured and Monzana sighed again, nodding slowly as she sat up properly. Another game? Yes, please. He was just too nice for his own good. She couldn't help but appreciate it. Still, that didn't mean she wasn't going to continue leeching information from him. I'll beat you one day, somehow. Oh, and now the Aquilians are having a revolution. Okay. Man, what a tough revolution. I wonder how you're gonna survive. Man, King. I don't know, King. You're totally gonna fall to the revolutionary ultra-nationalist. No shot. The plan of Zebrica. We need to remember that Zebrica's plan rose as a compromise. Going further would have provoked a backlash. But things have changed. As ruler as Koltva was, here it is the urban patrons who rule. They should know they must be made part of the plan. Otherwise, we're showing that the thousands of urban poor who have suffered just as much as the rural poor aren't part of our vision. And why should they support us then? Zella was pounding his hoof into the desk to articulate his point and spoke with volume and zeal at both. As Ozid spoke up, his soft voice stood in sharp contrast to his hardliner comrade. Well, you are right. We need to remember its purpose. It is a land reform meant to alleviate the plight of the farmers, nothing more. The urban poor are better helped by new programs focusing on them, not trying to apply Zebrica to things it never meant for. It being a compromise is a strength and not a weakness, because we've already implemented it and seen that it works. Starting to meddle with it now will only cause discontent. Nah, let's go with Zella's idea, Zerishat drawled sarcastically. I'm sure all those still on the fence about us will love seeing us go full Stalingrad. That won't backfire at all. There's always discontent, Zella persisted while ignoring Zerishat. Why don't simply take it all to its logical conclusion before the reactionaries can reassert themselves, or resist them becoming too big a threat once again? They can't turn on us if they don't have the common zebra on their side, Ozid retorted as he dabbed his brow with a hoof kerchief. And the common zebra is who we are working for and can get on our side without going too far. But then again, maybe we're not going far enough, Zash offered, preempting Zella's more accurate retort. Thank you for your input, but I maintain that we are not going to change the plan, or Zella is right, the old plan was not enough. So this will decrease them and gains the plan. Who needs weekly stability, right? Let's just continue destroying the stability of our nation, you know? I mean, hey, if I want to get them up, that's what I gotta do. Apparently. Woo. And, oh, well, okay. Well, because I'm moving over here now. At least don't give me weekly stability. From bottom up, from the top down, from the dubious elections to the slavery-based economy, Carthage was a republic but hardly had a democracy. You must completely reorganize the Cothagian political system from the bottom up, so that every creature will have a hoof in the life of their community and the direction of their country. An all too usual morning. The stench of alcohol was almost overwhelming as Zeirutid walked into the house with a slow shake of his head. Over a dozen bottles on his table, but where was, of course, he sighed as he looked down at his disheveled, passed out form of his sister where she lay on the sofa. Picking up some of the bottles, he began taking them out to the kitchen, as well as pouring out the bottles that weren't already drained by the sponge in the other room. A few minutes later, when he was almost done, a groan came from Zeirutid in the living room. Right, you're here, she said as she noticed him, and Zeirutid put down the last bottles. He leaned against the counter and nodded against the empty bottles behind him. What, just another day in the victorious revolution? What do you want, Zeirutid stopped, feeling so resigned. How many times has it been at this point? You can't keep doing this, Zeri. I can't remember the last time I saw you not hungover or drunk, and it's killing you. We're achieving so much right now, but at this pace, I don't know if you'll ever even be alive to see it completed. Please just shut your trap. Zeirutid groaned. I'm still doing my job and still going to your meetings. So what if I want to wash away the headache your gaggle of idiots gives me with a drink or two? They're not my meetings. We're doing this together. You're part of it too, so why... Without warning, Zeirutid got up and walked out into the bathroom. Soon retching sounds came from it, and Zeirutid covered his face with one hoof. What am I supposed to do with her? I don't know. Cry? Oh, wow. Who would have guessed? They lost the revolution when they only got this tiny piece to attack all the rest of it. I am absolutely shocked. It's like they didn't even care about the revolution. No, okay then. Full-blown military reorganization. Now that we are the government of all Zonacia, and not just Culpa, our army will need major reorganization to grow into our new role. Most importantly, we will have to figure out what to do with the structures of the Cothagian army with its patchworks of mercenaries, penal battalions, and private armies. Yes, of course. Senator Serov elected, and the Republic of Terran declared independence. Interesting stuff going around in the world. So I can do literally nothing right now. Great. Wow, free political power. That's what this is, right, guys? Yeah, I have a feeling I was supposed to do one of these two to let the 70 days pass and then move over here. But, you know, too late now. Maintain academic autonomy. While literacy, independence, and good citizenship are obviously political goals, the education system cannot be reduced to a political tool. Now that we have set up the basic structure of our academy, we will leave it alone, giving it substantial discretion over its own budget and only intervening when it's necessary. The golden fields of Zeirutid. Corn, cassava, sorghum, the iron triangle that holds together our nation's food supply, and all three can be grown in Zeirutid. Its golden fields have provided most of the food for the coastal trade cities of the region for decades. We must find... Okay, calm down. We must find the solution to our food crisis within these fields, but we need to figure out how to repair the damage done. Okay. Man, that was some events. Just, a few. Just a few, Just a couple. The Golden Sea. With the situation at Hoof, any source of food was more than welcome. The Zeirutid region especially had turned out to be a boon, as it produced grain enough to feed tens of thousands, yet there were hundreds of thousands starving, and no clear answers to where they should use it. And thus, Zeirutid argued the grain should go to the most economically devastated area. The faster we can get the economy up and going again, the faster we will feed every creature else. You must keep the greater perspective here. Were we talking about other issues? I'd agree, but this is about people dying from starvation. Zella shook her head. If the issue of starvation, give it to those most at risk and let us avoid our people dying by us valuing the economy over their lives. Is that not an obvious solution? Yes, you're very cute, Zeirutid drawled. Her burly eyes, raspy voice spoke clearly of what she had been doing last night. I guess why we never saw you in Coltville is because you couldn't have brought your wardrobe and vanity along. Perhaps we should inform the janitors, Ozid dear. I think I smelled a sewage leak. Zella airily commented before pretending to notice Zeirutid. Oh, Zeirutid dear, did you have any alternatives? Perhaps the wine helped you think of something? Zeirutid's gaze could have melted stone, and Zella's smile was angelic. Instead of exploding, however, she continued, use the damned grain to get those who still plan to fight to sit down and behave. Some provinces are hotbeds of resistance, and if we slip them some extra food, they'll come down and we'll stabilize the region. Economy or lives won't matter if we collapse when attacked. Okay, we'll end for the day. Zezminzesh sighed. That all had a chance to give their input, and if Zeirutid and Zella wanted to snipe at each other, they could do so on their own time. Right now, the grain mattered more. Healthy economy means a healthy populace, to each according to their needs, after all, or stability will be needed for the battles ahead. Yes, civilian factory! Plus, I just love civilian factories. What's up? Oh, I can get trade with Skyfall. No, not right now. Right now, I want to get this, so I can get more influence. The breadbasket of northern Zebrica. We've secured our food supply, and with our heavy industry reignited, we can rebuild the roads needed to get it where it goes. The end of the famine is in sight. More than that, a bright future free of the spectre of starvation. Not just for Coltville, but for all Zonakins. Oh, the military thing was getting rid of them for a while. The gift of charity. The stew was hearty and flavorful, and the bread so fragrant that he could almost cry as he smelled it. After having gone hungry and homeless for so long, it was like tasting heaven. It was just a meal, though, and he knew he couldn't rely on getting it tomorrow. Now, though, he wanted to savor it, and ate with one foreleg wrapped around the bowl to protect it. Is it good? A voice asked, and he looked up, seeing one of the zebras that were running the soup kitchen that had fed him had come up to him. He nodded and took another bite. Mind if I sit? The zebra, a large beefy stallion, nodded towards the chair next to his, and he hesitated for a second before shrugging. The zebra slipped down onto the chair and continued asking him questions. You are a veteran, right? Do you have a place to stay? He shook his head. I'm sleeping under a bridge. Can't go anywhere else. He didn't like talking. Ever since the grenade, he slurred when he spoke. All he wanted was to eat and at least fall asleep with a full stomach. He had little more to hope for these days. At least the zebra was quiet for a few seconds now. Did you know they're opening a spice processing plant in the city? He asked. They've said that veterans are getting dibs on work there, no matter what side you fought for. Would you like me to put a word for you? The question left him stopping mid-bite. He put down his spoon as he stirred down his stew, not quite daring to believe what he heard. I just wanted food. You don't... He shook his head. This wasn't really happening, was it? He's supposed to have lost everything, condemned to pass away in some back alley as a broken husk of a zebra. He'd almost managed to let go of hope that things would become better. Yes, please, he eventually managed to whisper. Honest work gives honest hope. Yay! Let's go bananas! B-A-N-A-N-A-S! The plantation of Caraman have long grown, labor-intensive cash crops, which suited the oligarchs perfectly well. When Carthage was a slave-based economy and labor was free in the face of the current famine, however, we must repurpose this agricultural land to grow bananas, which will help alleviate the hunger gnawing at our new citizens. I need political power. I really need to actually just start working on getting rid of that, but, you know, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Economy first, you know. We're all in agreement then. Zeirutid leaned back a little. The Caraman plantations will be turned to banana production. The question is how to approach it. It should be obvious, no? Zella asked, Jazalid, nodding in agreement. We have a chance to build these plantations from the ground up as a cultivar-style corporatives, create a new node from which we can spin a better system of agriculture. At the other end of the table, Zeirutid cleared his throat and provoked two murderous gazes at Zella and Jazalid. As noble as the settlement expressed is, the economist began, I fear it may be over-ambition at this time. The system is new to most farmers in the region. We have pressing concerns to deal with here and now. Reviewing the matter with General Manzano, I would say that the best solution would be to parcel out the land to the farmers that already know how to use the land, and offer them profitable contracts to get us bananas as much as they can. Do you need to commit fully to either? Jezebel asked. Why not simply set aside most of the area for cooperatives, but allow private plantations to an extent? Not the least since they could serve as trial plantations for local initiatives or experiences. Ozid agreed. Zeshmash couldn't help but be amused by the sight of the glamorous Patreon sitting next to the frumpy Cultvan, but pushed the thought aside. One way or another, this would strike a serious blow against the famine. But how to do it? Let us experiment with communions. A mixed approach would be for the best, or private ownership is not inherently evil. Let's experiment with communalism. Yes, of course. It's just an experiment. We're totally not just becoming that ideology. Definitely not. The right to eat. Food production. Okay. Food production was never the primary problem. The main issue has always been food distribution. In good times, Carthage produced more than enough food to feed every Zeb, and yet the poor still went hungry. Now that we have secured our food supply, we will codify an inalienable right to eat in our laws. No Zeb deserves to starve, and under a new regime, no Zeb will starve. Yay! Time to get rid of the minor famine. And there we go. Now our economy should be at max strength. Making those way quicker now. Though I really do need to head on over here. Like way like a long time ago. Adaptation socialism. They're not communists. That term has been used by authoritarians to destroy nations and oppress creatures around the world. But we do see merit in socialist economic principles, especially as a way to rebuild after the chaos of the Civil War. The bleeding months must end, and socialism will get us there. Yes, of course. Just with the additional military. Yep. Alright. Participatory democracy. The right to vote is a paltry thing. What is a right if it is not exercised? If it is not accompanied by education? No. Cultural and political institutions which let our people make meaningful political choices. We will enshrine democracy as not just a legal right, but a core principle of our society, and encourage every citizen to take an active hoof in the politics of their community. Yay! Now I can upgrade my 2 infantry styled guys. And this guy actually has infantry attack. That's rare. Sure. And that one provides stability, and I got that stability. Good. Okay. Just as agricultural drains the soil, the quest for cultural homogeneity drains a nation of its vitality, of its capacity for growth. Our lands are home to many indigenous and minority cultures and races, particularly within Koltva. We will ensure these indigenous cultures retain their autonomy and institutions so that they may grow and develop rather than being subsumed into the majority. And we're going to get events, recruit population, and monthly population growth to some amount. Yeah, cool. Oh yeah, definitely don't have that. So yeah. Oh, an evening discussion. Are you sure this is a good idea, Zeirutid? You know what they say about him, his banditry, his murders, his crimes against the people. Ozid turned towards his friend. Are we sure that we want this Zebra to be one that we work with? Zeritid stood on the floor of Congress in Cothagian, musing at the seats around him. I mean, we've never met him. Maybe he'll be the type to share a drink with. Noticing how this bite of humor didn't improve Ozid's mood, Zesh sighed and continued. This is just a meeting. I'm not agreeing to anything by just showing up. I want to meet this so-called Lion of the West. He may be a bandit, but he's been fighting the Cothagians for years. Also, he's apparently been planning on some sort of land reform like the plan Zazel Zeb for years. I want to see what he has to say. Ozid sat in one of the chairs nearby and crossed his hip. Zeritid, you are making a mistake. He could have killed for Zezel's sake. Zeritid sat down beside him. I'm going with a bodyguard, of course. We've agreed to a meeting in a house with just the two of us, no weapons. He's a bloody bandit, Ozid explained. You think he'll listen to deals? Zeritid rose and put his hoof on his distressed friend's shoulder. If he is a bandit, he may not. He turned to walk away. But then again, what did the Cothagians call us? I swear, I'll be fine. It's a... Nah, those I don't need those. Those suck. No one cares about them. These are horrible. Everyone hates them. Okay, what's the other one? The Zeritid forces aren't down yet it seems like their leadership is wavering. The government of Taframin is at the last high-ranking Zeritid leader left, has contacted the government and offered to negotiate peace. The offer seems sincere, but the idea of actually negotiating with the Zeritids leaves a bitter taste in many zebras' mouths. I'm just making... Okay. The Lion of the West. There's a zebra who roams the land out west, running wild and free. Some call him a bandit, some call him a liberator, but he's always been an enemy of the enemy of ours. Xanadu, the Bandolier, Zidone, has been a powerful local force in Zur for years, and it might be worth bringing him on our side. We just need to be careful of his reputation. Alright, let's see if we can do this. The two lions. Approaching the compound was more stressful than Zeirutid thought it would be. Earlier, he'd believed himself resigned to his fate, believing the bandit had fought for a good cause. Now it was a bit more nerve-wracking. Seeing the building in which they were to meet, he was confused. It was just a farmhouse. He'd expected either a fancier building or some shack for them to meet, but this was a family farm, like his back home. Entering, he was hit with the pungent aroma. Was that apples? Hey, comrade, over here. Zeirutid turned to the noise, and looking to his left, he saw a truly shocking sight. A zebra logged back in a rocking chair, a full mustache, and held what looked like a liquor bottle. Don't just stand there, friend. Sit, sit. As Zeirutid began to step towards the table, the zebra flashed a smile at him and said, "Come on, I don't bite often," before chuckling lightly. As Zeirutid sat, an old female zebra entered the room from the side, carrying a pie, the source of the apple smell. Becoming suddenly stiff, Zeirutid soon saw the old mare was not a fighter. Turning to the zebra, he said sarcastically, "Zidon, I thought we agreed on no other soldiers in the room." Zidon turned back to him and chuckled. "My dear friend, this isn't a soldier. This isn't one of my soldiers. This is... the pie does look lethally good," Zesh interrupted. Staring at him for a second, Zidon continued. "This is Mama Menzazemna, a charity worker. She is letting me use her farmhouse for our get-together, that's all." Smiling again, Zidon pushed a plate towards Zeirutid as well as a glass. "Drink, eat. We are meant to be friends here, no?" He then bent down beside him and picked up a thatched farmer's hat, placing it on his head. "I hope you didn't think this would be one of those boring political conferences," Zeirutid smiled. "I like your style, Zidon. So tell me, why is a fighter like you talking to a politician like me? You revolted for years. Are you sure you're ready to put down your rifle?" Zidon thought for a moment, then spoke. "Why would I fight when what I have fought for is already here? I've been fighting for years for my comrades and Finns to get a fair shot in life, to work their land, and to live happy, content lives, and look where we as a nation are now. The oligarchs are gone, and I've read your plans many times. I really couldn't ask for more than for the zebras of this land. So when you approached me, I was thrilled that I would get a chance to meet you. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to live." Zeirutid smiled wide now. "Well, friend, let's get down to business first. Then I'll gladly take you up on the drinks and pie." Zidon laughed loudly. Business first kind of zebra then. Alright, I can work with that. But I always open deals with a toast, so... Filling the small glass with some of the amber liquor from his bottle, he pushed it back to Zeirutid. A toast to friendship and liberty. It gives me some influence of the pragmatic. Other faction joins and becomes a political advisor. Nice. And where is he? I was the Lion of the West. Oh, he's not actually. Yeah, he's the first guy that's not part of any of these. He's just recruited population. We're supporting resistance growth. Nice. Let's get rid of the bleeding months. It is time to end the chaos. A conference of the National Unity Front shall be called. A permanent agreement sorted out for how the government shall be run. And everyone shall sign. We shall govern in peace, not war. We shall govern for prosperity, not for greed. We shall govern for the good of all, not for the good of the few. Yay. And we'll get some stability. Enshrine communal autonomy. The communes established in the wake of the advance of LAE are the purest expression of the freedom we wish to bring to all of Zebrica. The citizens have rose up and declared that they want to govern themselves. And who are we to state the contrary? We have no need for tyrants above us, only comrades next to us. Yay! Political power, surrender limit, and weekly influence. Nice. Horizontal economic planning. For generations, the oligarchs and patricians have dictated to the citizens of Cothagian what they can do with their lives, what jobs they can work, what they can produce, how they can sell. No longer. No great government organ shall tell the people how to live their lives. Local economic issues shall be handled by the locals, who shall have councils and unions to address their own issues. What? You rebelled now? Oh, yeah, you do rebel. That's normal in the tree. I'm 99% sure I had that same thing happen when I was playing as them. Democracy in the factory. The mood was tense, almost like a piano wire, as the two groups of zebras, the left side in the workers' clothes and the other side in suits, stared each other down as a burly zebra on the left was giving the other side a vicious dressing down. And you try to tell us that slaving away in the factory is the same whether it's in the middle of the night or it's daytime. I'm coming home to a kid that's already off for school, and by the time he's back, I'm out the door to go back here. If that's how it's going to be, you'll be paying more for it, or you can forget any workers taking your night shifts. The work is the exact same, and you are paid for the work you do. One of the suit-wearing zebras on the other side snapped back. You are free to leave and find employment elsewhere if that is not acceptable. So you can find those desperate enough to take the shifts without extra compensation, and who you can dismiss without a question. When they don't accept being treated like animals, the burly zebra stopped now as a mare beside him put a hoof on his shoulder. He fell quiet, letting her take over. The issue here is not the nature of the job, it's the strain it puts on the workers. As he says, zebras are not able to be with their families. They spend their lives toiling away in the night, and when the sun comes, they'll be fast asleep. You're out of sync with most society when you're on the night shift. It's not something you can do for long. You could just as well be stuck on a deserted island for how much time you can spend with your friends and family. The suit-wearing zebra was close to throwing up his hooves and calling it quits. One thing after another, these workers were never happy. Still, he knew that if he did, they'd go on strike. With the current government, they'd be out of luck with getting police help, and it'd be down to those who could outlast the other. How he missed the good old days. Very well, we can offer a 30% bonus. Woo! But I think that'll be the end of this episode. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.